Hi guys, this is Julia from Just One More Card, and today I have a fun project for you where basically everything went wrong. I am using a digi stamp from All Dressed Up, and I'm creating a shaker card using dies and sequins by Pretty Pink Posh. First off, I printed and fuzzy cut this lovely bunny. It's a digi stamp from All Dressed Up, and I will have links in the video description below. And I'm using my Copic markers to color this bunny. Now, I wanted to keep it mainly very soft, because this is going to be a card for my best friend who has just given birth or is about to give birth to her second child. It's also a girl. It is a girl, right? Yeah, I think it is a girl. And so this is supposed to be a baby card, so I didn't want to have it like any scary colors. But I also wanted this bunny to be like dimensional, to really look like a real stuffed animal, to have all the shadows in the right places. You know, for the people that you care about most, you want to have the perfect card. So I started coloring, and I just kept going, and I was then thinking about, oh my goodness, like where's my white space? I need white space. And then I realized, well, but the bottom of her face also needs a shadow, and I was just not sure about what I was doing. And so I kept coloring, and I decided to just try to get through the first layer of color and then see where I was. And I recommend this to everybody. If you're not sure about like how far you want to pull the shadows, how dark you want to go, just add a little bit of dark color first and color the entire image to get an idea of like how it will look like. Because sometimes it's hard to see if it looks good or not. Like here, for example, obviously, like it's not dark enough, like the shadows are not dark enough, and they are getting brighter when you go over dark Copic markers with lighter colored Copic markers. It always lightens up the dark colors. So I knew I had to go over this anyway. But after I had colored the bunny, like the first layer of the bunny, I had a much better impression of where the shadows needed to go to make it look more natural. Like I know it's not a lifelike thing, like it doesn't look like a real stuffed animal, but at least for the moment that somebody glances at the card, I wanted them to have the impression at least that it's not a flat image. So I went back in and I applied much more of my darker color at the top, but only a tiny little bit at the bottom, and then started to blend this out. And I was very mindful to blend out just a tiny little bit to leave enough room for white space, because I feel that if you only have like a little bit of shadow but lots of white space, it oftentimes looks much more dimensional than if you have lots of shadows. Like, of course, it depends on the image. But I realized that with my past coloring, I was so intent on being bold and adding lots of color and dark color that I sometimes overwhelmed the images a little bit, and they didn't look as good as I wanted them to look, and that was because there was too much darkness and not enough light. Now, right now, here's the bunny. Like I was done with the base coloring, and I was like, it doesn't really look that great yet. What can I do? What can I do? And then I grabbed my Copics again, and I started the same colors that I used before, and I started to add dots. Like my brain tells me that this technique is called stippling, but I could be totally wrong with that. And basically, I am going over the areas with the same colors and just going a little bit into the lighter area with the darker color and just adding dots. And at the bottom of her face, I'm making sure that I'm not placing any dots on her eyelids. And actually, like I only realized this while I was doing it, but I can sell it as this great plan that I had, but really it wasn't a plan. And you will see the effect that this will generate. So I'm not putting anything on her eyelids. And then I'm just, as I said, grabbing always the next lighter color and pulling out the dots a little bit. And this will give just some texture, some interesting texture to this image. And I think you can already start to see how interesting her eyelids look by having like the darker color around it. And I'm also pulling it up a little bit between her eyelids, so where her nose would be. And that just emphasizes the brightness or the lightness of the eyelids, so they really stand out. It's a really interesting effect, I think. It was not intended. I wish I could say, like, yes, I knew what would happen, and that's exactly how I intended it to be. It was not. So I finished coloring her, just the rest was just really easy Copic blending, nothing special that I did there. And then I grabbed my Stardust gel pen, because I love my Stardust gel pen, best pen ever. And I'm applying it onto this little flower there. And I'm going to put some glossy accents on top later. This is my card base, and I I just cut a strip of pattern paper, sorry for my head getting in the way here, and it was a little too long, but I like that because then, I can make sure it will fit, and I'm just trimming this off with my scissors here, and this will give me some, like a nice border for this panel here. It's a German sentiment, it's like it says congratulations, and then I was like, I need like a border there, so I grabbed my ruler and the Copic marker, and I thought, we'll just have a strip of very intense color for contrast. And then I pulled it away, and you can see that there's a jagged edge. So I was like, no. Yeah, so, great. I put a piece of masking tape down and then went over the masking tape, but that also didn't give me a good edge. So I then grabbed my white gel pen and went over that jagged edge in an attempt to make it less jagged. I didn't want to print it. I could have just printed it out again, but I was just too lazy, to be honest. So I thought, okay, that's enough. Has to work now. Now I grabbed this die from Pretty Pink Posh, and I'm die cutting an opening, and the scallop part is actually like its own thing. It's an oval with a scalloped edge, and in order for it to stay put, I'm using micropore tape. You could just use a regular adhesive on the back to have it stick there. So since we're doing a shaker card, I am putting some adhesive on the back of this panel and then putting a piece of acetate there. Really pretty. And of course, then you have to use some foam tape, because the foam tape will give this piece a dimension that the shaker elements need to shake, and they will keep the shaker elements where they're supposed to be inside this opening. And I'm sorry, the camera just stopped recording. I'm really so sorry about this, but I basically just put everything together, like glued everything together. So here is my custom sequin and seed bead mix from Pretty Pink Posh. All the products are listed in the video description below and on my blog, and here is the super cute bunny with its flower that I covered with glossy accents and the Stardust gel pen, and here's the entire card where you can see this pattern paper off to the side and this slightly not perfect border to make the panel stand out a little bit more. I hope you got inspired nonetheless. Leave me a comment if you like. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel. Cheers!